Hello and welcome back to our channel, Explained, where we discuss one interesting topic a day. Today's topic is very important and sensitive to a lot of people. As we all know, discrimination is a major problem that continues to exist in our society today. It is the act of treating someone unfairly or differently based on their race, gender, religion, sexual orientation, or any other characteristic that is different from one's own. But have you ever wondered when discrimination started? In this video, we will explore the fascinating history of discrimination and its origins. Let me know in the comment section below where are you from and if you have ever faced discrimination. Let's begin. First, discrimination can be traced back to early human societies, where physical differences such as skin color or facial features were used to differentiate between groups. In ancient Egypt, for example, the Nubian people were often discriminated against due to their darker skin color, even though they were an integral part of Egyptian society. Similarly, in ancient Greece, the Spartans discriminated against the Helots, who were a slave class that was forced to work for the Spartans. Discrimination based on physical differences was also present in many other ancient societies, such as Rome and China. Second, discrimination became more widespread with the rise of feudal societies in medieval Europe. During this time, social classes were strictly defined, and individuals were often discriminated against based on their birth. For example, peasants were often treated as inferior to the aristocracy, and women were frequently discriminated against in terms of education and employment opportunities. Discrimination against Jews was also common in medieval Europe, with Jews being accused of various crimes and being subjected to persecution and violence. Third, discrimination was also evident during the colonial era, when European powers colonized other parts of the world. This led to the subjugation of indigenous people, who were often treated as inferior and denied basic rights and freedoms. For instance, during the British colonial period in India, the Indian people were often subjected to discrimination and exploitation by the British colonizers. Similarly, in Africa, European powers often divided the continent into arbitrary territories, leading to conflicts and discrimination based on tribal and ethnic differences. Fourth, discrimination has continued into modern times. In the United States, for example, racial discrimination against African Americans has been an ongoing issue for centuries. From slavery to the Jim Crow era to the present day, African Americans have been subjected to discrimination and systemic racism. Discrimination against the LGBTQ community is also prevalent in many parts of the world, with individuals being denied basic human rights and freedoms. Women also face discrimination in various aspects of life, such as employment opportunities, pay scales, and political representation. Today, discrimination has taken on new forms, and it is more covert and subtle than it was in the past. For example, it is less common for someone to openly discriminate against a person based on their race or gender. Instead, discrimination often occurs through unconscious biases, microaggressions, and structural inequalities. Unconscious biases refer to the attitudes or stereotypes that we hold towards a certain group of people, even if we are not aware of them. These biases can affect our behavior and decision-making without us realizing it. For example, a hiring manager may unconsciously prefer candidates who come from the same background as them, leading to a lack of diversity in the workplace. Microaggressions are subtle and often unintentional actions or words that can be harmful to marginalized groups. For example, making assumptions about someone's ethnicity based on their physical appearance, or telling a woman to smile more, are both examples of microaggressions. Structural inequalities refer to the ways in which our society is structured to benefit certain groups of people over others. For example, the wealth gap between different races in the United States is a result of historical discrimination and structural inequalities that continue to this day. Similarly, the lack of diversity in certain industries can be traced back to systemic barriers that prevent marginalized groups from accessing these fields. In today's era, discrimination is also more visible due to the widespread use of social media and the internet. People can share their experiences of discrimination and amplify their voices, making it harder for others to deny the existence of discrimination. However, this also means that it can spread rapidly and reach a wider audience, leading to online harassment and hate speech. In summary, discrimination can take many forms, but it always leads to inequality, oppression, and injustice. It has evolved over time, and it continues to exist in our society today. While it may be more covert and subtle than it was in the past, it is still a pervasive problem that affects many people's lives. As individuals, we can work towards recognizing and challenging our own biases, advocating for change, and promoting inclusivity and equality in all aspects of life. Thanks for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more interesting content.